Hello and welcome to the ADMA Global Forum webinars. My name's David Hovenden, I'm the Editor-in-Chief of BNT, and today I'm joined by Arvind Sethumadhavan from the Dentsu Aegis network. He's the Chief Innovation Officer for the network, and he's freshly back from Cannes, so I'm sure this is going to be a great chat. He's going to be brimming with all sorts of ideas. Arvind, I thought maybe we could start off if you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your role.
Yeah, thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Good to be here chatting with you. So just to start off a bit about the company I work for, Dentsu Aegis Network, which was created last year. It's a collection of 5 main global brand agencies. We have Dentsu, which is a creative agency. We have Karat and Visium, which are media agencies. iProspect, which is performance marketing. Isobar, which is digital creative. And Posterscope, which is out of home. So the expanse of possibilities which we deal with clients in the marketing services industry is immense. My role as Chief Innovation Officer is primarily to help all of our business lines look at what are the emerging opportunities in the market and take them to the benefit of our clients. Now, if you look at this role, Chief Innovation Officer, it's something which is new. It's not something which has existed in the industry for a long time. Particularly in my case, I actually grew into this role. So there was no brief. I've been a Chief Innovation Officer since early last year. I've been with the group for about 3 years. And when I started, I was doing a group role focusing on areas like social, mobile, big data, and analytics. This gave me a spectrum of opportunities which I could bring to the table for our clients and businesses. And then I got this role. So the point I'm making is that there was no brief at that point where my boss, Nick Waters, said, okay, we need a Chief Innovation Officer and let's look for this person. And I was already doing a lot of things which involved working with our partners in a way in which we can bring in new solutions to our clients through our brand agencies, and that's how I grew into this role. So my role, if I had to distill into 3 key pillars, I look after smart technology, smart data, and smart collaborations.
Excellent, thank you for that, great summary. So you're a CIO, but you're not a CIO as we used to understand that role. It's what do you think of the old as a Chief Information Officer? Are those people are they all converting into information officers, or is it a new skill set that are being brought to the table?
Yeah, not at all. I think it's definitely a new skill set. The CIO is a role which potentially has been, when I say CIO, I mean the Chief Information Officer, has been a role which has been around since the evolution of our business, perhaps. The important point is that when you're looking at innovation, you're looking more externally. If you look at the CIO role, in most situations, it's internally focused, which is absolutely important for any scale business. My role, I think the primary difference would be I'm more externally focused, client focused as well, particularly. Within DAN, as I already mentioned, because of the multifaceted nature of our business, there is a strong internal drive to look at innovation. This is only propelled by Dentsu being our parent company. And we're very proud. I think this year we picked up about 39 Lions at Cannes, of which I would say more than 70% were driven by innovation. We picked up quite a few awards in the innovation category, which is in the last 2 years. So I'm not sure about other group roles, but particularly for Dentsu Aegis Network, this role is highly relevant, and it gives a great opportunity to tap into what's happening in Asia Pacific especially. We currently don't have this role in other regional role in other geographies. We do have it in some local markets, scale markets like North America, UK, France.
Oh, just lost you for a moment there, Owen. I'll ask you another question. I'm going to just assume that the rest of the world can hear you, even though I currently can't hear you, and I assume you can hear me.
I can hear you.
The customers are, a lot of people are talking about technology and big data, and the topic we're actually talking about today is actually the difference between big data and smart data. Can you outline some of your thoughts? My own observations is I think big data is becoming something of a tired term. I think I'd like to hear your thoughts on what makes data smart data.
Absolutely. You know, I think big data has become a kind of a buzzword in the industry. It's being flaunted in all kinds of places. And there is a confusion, and I would like to quote Andy Lippman, who's one of the co-founders of MIT Media Lab, who was speaking at Cannes about how a lot of times big data gets confused with lots of data. And lots of data has been around for a long time. If you look at any of our retail clients, retail businesses, sorry, Walmart, Tesco's, Coles down in Australia, they've always had lots of data, lots and lots of customer data. What is happening with big data is particularly looking at what is the data coming out of new technologies, internet, mobile, social, and the real-time nature of this data is actually blowing the size of this data. And more importantly, the frequency at which this data is being accessed. So my view is that big data is not lots of data, but big data is where you can start connecting the dots. So to give you an example, if you're looking at social conversations around FIFA, now that's big data. It's going to be a lot of data if you're trying to search for all the conversations around FIFA. A recent project we launched last year, Sony, one of our global clients, is a sponsor of FIFA, and we launched a platform called One Stadium. One Stadium, you could say, is basically a dedicated social network for FIFA fans. And what One Stadium does is it distills this data into what is relevant to a fan, depending on where they're coming from, which countries are they following, and which players are they following. And what One Stadium does is, while there is a lot of chatter around FIFA, teams, etc., it has the ability to dynamically switch in and switch out the relevant conversations specific to a fan. So the distinction is where with big data we are connecting the dots. It's some external data which could come from social, which could come from mobile, to social profiles or social graphs in this example. Now, when it comes to clients, I feel that is not enough. We need to push it one level ahead, wherein clients are able to take actionable steps based on data. And that is where smart data comes in. So what we do for a lot of the clients is basically distill big data into smaller chunks and metrics that matter. So a good example could be, so if you're looking at search data, and if you're looking at category search volumes, That's a lot of data. And if you're looking at people searching for mobile phones globally, that's a lot of data. That data in itself is not directly relevant to clients. But if you're able to pair it up with other business-specific data, so to give you an example, we work for a beer client, and we look at seasonality, which has a direct correlation to beer sales over and above summer and winter. So if we can actually mash up, be it weather data or even sentiment data from social, clients can then act upon it. They can launch a new campaign, they can launch a new product, etc.
How do you
So where we currently are is transitioning clients. Big data is what we do in terms of management, but smart data is what is the story we tell clients so that they can actually benefit from the big data revolution.
Excellent. What we were talking off air before about storytelling. Where do you see the role of storytelling fitting into smart data?
If you look at the whole area of storytelling, the storytelling always centers around an idea, right? Especially in a business. So what you start with a core idea, and you build a story to get it across to your consumers in a succinct manner. The starting point is the idea, and where smart data comes in, it actually informs the creation of the idea.
Okay. And what do clients mostly come and ask you when they first have a conversation, and are they talking about smart data, or are they largely talking about big data, and that's an education process you have to go through with them?
What ends up happening, David, is that most client organizations are multifaceted, right? And you have like different business lines within the organization, different functions. And what I find is that, every time I'm talking to the marketing clients, they're all about ideas, right? And they have enough on their plate, and they're saying, okay, this is great, big data. How do we connect the dots? How do we, in the end of the day, if you look at this marketing planning process, they're trying to basically reach out to consumers in what is referred to as the path to purchase, right? Yeah. What they want us to do is use data to unlock the blockages in the path to purchase. So, for instance, if you're finding that, there are a lot of people who are aware, but consideration is low, what can you do with data which can change that process? And today, with data points like search, because search defines intent, you're able to actually reach out to the specific segments who have expressed an intention for your competitor products and remark them until your product gets in consideration set. So that's where we a lot of action. All of our clients are saying millions of dollars, and in most situations, all of it is driving traffic websites. But if you look at most industries and traffic coming in from search, only about 20 to 30% of the search traffic leads to a conversion. What that means is there's potentially a 70% audience which comes to the website, they spend some time engaging with some piece of content, and our clients have no idea where they're going after that. And with big data now, we can actually track them, we can actually remarket to them, We did some great work for a client in Singapore recently, where we were able to, it was again a resorts client, holiday resorts, big on e-commerce sales for their tickets, and they had only 20% of their search data converting on their website. What we were able to do was the remaining 80%, we were able to remarket to them on Facebook. Now that Facebook is an open platform, you can actually reach out to them. Hey, we know that you visited the entertainment section of our site, or you visited the dining segment. So you can have highly customized messages to them on Facebook to convert. And we saw almost a 30% increase in conversions from the 80% bucket. And so the marketing clients are all about, how do you unlock these blockages and use data in a smart way. And we do end up having, that said, I think earlier on you touched upon the role of CIO. Increasingly we are seeing that within client organizations, there is a hunger to own data. So they want to have access to all the data, and most clients are these days trying to build some form of a data management platform in-house. So a lot of the conversations we end up having with their CIOs is in the area of how they can harness the power of big data using technologies wherein you're not just looking at first-party data, but you're looking at second and third-party data as well.
And how do you find the relationships between the CMO and the CIO in most organizations? Do you find they're working closely together, or is there still a gap? And when I say CIO, I'm referring to the old Chief Information Officer.
I think in most organizations, there is a gap. What I find is that the marketing organization is more focused on, sales and marketing the products. The CIO ends up mostly working for what you tend to call the customer service department, where even if you look at an FMCG, you buy a product, you would have a number on the end of behind the product to call and ask for any questions. So they end up focusing on building technology to support direct customer service. And we are increasing, what is happening, especially with social technologies, is that we are seeing this whole area of community management acting almost as a bridge between the marketing and the technology components of the business. That's because what clients are realizing is that if you're looking at real-time customer feedback on social platforms, forums, Twitter, etc., and that information is valuable for two things. One is, from a marketing perspective, you can launch new campaigns. Increasingly, clients are setting up dedicated platforms where they can crowdsource ideas. So to give you some examples, you probably heard of Dell IdeaStorm. Lego has a solution called QSO, which originated in Japan, but QSO stands for dream in Japanese. What would you dream of? Where Lego fans create new products, and they just stick it on the QSO platform, and if it gets, I think currently 10,000 likes, Lego will turn it into a product which will go into market. We've seen clients like Lay's and even Ben & Jerry. Ben & Jerry is a great example where they did a campaign called Do the World a Flavor. So products like Cherry Garcia, Chunky Monkey actually came from this crowdsourcing marketing campaign. So the point I'm making is what's happening with social data is it's not only informing marketing and new product development, but it's also informing customer service. So we work for a couple of airlines, And what we find is that the level of conversation and engagement you can have on social actually has a direct correlation to the costs of your call center operation. We have been able to shave off about 10% of costs in some examples.
Fantastic. Arvind, we've actually got a question from one of our audience members. It's a question coming from Australia, and it's coming from Praful. And his question is, do you think eCRM data is becoming more relevant for agencies to help their clients?
Absolutely. Now, I think, like I kind of touched upon social data for crowdsourcing. Increasingly, what we are finding is that the challenge, if you look at traditional CRM and the way clients have been collecting data, it's very labor intensive. What's happening with eCRM, like the Resorts World data, you're able to actually collect data points on people's behavior, which goes beyond traditional data forms. Traditional data forms, you get demographic data, you probably have an email address, you have a mobile number. But what's happening with eCRM is not only are you able to collect rich information about your customers and potential customers. If you look at the opportunities for custom audiences and lookalike audiences on Facebook, so even if you have a very small database of 5,000, you can actually find millions of customers who are similar to that 5,000 database you have on Facebook. So eCRM is changing the way in which clients look at data.
Excellent. Thanks very much for that. What other trends have you noticed in your travels recently? I know you're just back from Cannes, so maybe you might have picked up a couple of key points there. Maybe you could share one or two of those with us.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the big trends which is happening in the industry is this whole area of convergence, right? So we're seeing increasingly, especially in Asia, with its high adoption of mobile, there's this huge convergence of social, mobile, and commerce. I call it SOMOCO. And what this is creating is new business models. So to give you an example, if you look at WeChat from China, it exists only on the mobile. WeChat doesn't exist on TV. It's a social solution, and it's commerce enabled. So if you look at, unlike our Western counterparts of
we seem to have lost Arvind there for a moment, so I'll just see if we can get him back. We have about 3 minutes left in this webinar, so if you're still sticking around, it might be a great time to shoot us a question. While we see if we can't get Arvind fired back up. Oh, there you are.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Great. Sorry, we had a technology moment there. We lost you for a few minutes, so maybe if you could just finish off that last
So
point.
I was just talking about the convergence of social, mobile, and commerce, and WeChat in particular. How you can, almost have a complete marketing plan on the platform. You can start with engagement and even have commerce on the platform. And where we are taking this to with clients is this great potential to actually start looking at the second screen behavior. Clients still spend a significant amount on about line. So, for instance, we're doing a lot of work with augmented reality. Particularly in Australia, we have a solution called Viewer. And if you look at it, clients are spending millions of dollars on traditional media formats, be it a TVC or a print ad. And Viewer is an augmented reality app, which lets your viewers or your audience who are consuming the magazines actually engage with the content. Imagine a print ad for a car or beauty brand. There's a lot more information which can be provided than a static two-dimensional image. So we do a lot of work for beauty clients. They create how-to videos on how to put on the. We know that our consumers are sitting around with their magazines and a smartphone. So we ensure that the about line returns are greater by using the user behavior of using a smartphone on a traditional piece of content.
Owen, we're just about out of time, so I might take this opportunity to thank you very much for your time and point out that you will be speaking at ADMA's Global Forum, and I'm very much looking forward to catching up with you in person and hearing your fascinating thoughts yet again. Once more, thanks very much.
Thanks, David. I hope that was useful. I believe I was talking a lot, but I hope the technology was not an issue.
Yeah, I think it was okay. Yeah, generally hear you pretty well. So, but yeah, ironic when we're talking about technology and it's giving us a few problems.
That's ironical. Thank you very much.